This story is about George, a little dwarf horse who the world once dismissed as worthless, but who became the most treasured soul in my life. Number scrawled on a clipboard. The air was heavy, boots echoed on the concrete, and buyers walked past the cold pens as if browsing through unwanted furniture at a yard sale. Then I saw him, a frail dwarf horse with a tangled mane and front legs so twisted he could hardly stand. He didn't move. He didn't whinny. He wasn't seeking attention. He just stood there, as if he had grown used to being invisible. We brought George home on a breezy Ohio morning. He was only 7 months old. Dark circles ringed his eyes, as though sleep had long abandoned him. Without a proper stall, we set up a makeshift one in our garage. I spread straw, set out fresh water, and sat beside him. Slowly, George walked over, silent and unafraid, then rested his head in my lap and closed his eyes. I didn't move for hours, hardly even breathing. In that stillness, I realized George didn't just need shelter, he needed trust. I made a promise. You will never be left behind again. George's healing began with his legs, the very ones many believed could not be saved. His hooves were curled like blades pressing into the ground, and every step looked painful. At first, he barely moved, as though afraid of making things worse. We flew in a professional farrier from Florida. Over 30 days of quarantine, his hooves were trimmed little by little, carefully reshaping his balance and giving him a new foundation. George never resisted. He only trembled slightly, leaning against me as if to say, "This hurts, but I know you're helping." One night, as he curled into the straw, I whispered, "If you can endure this, then I won't give up either." From those first hesitant steps, George began to move freely. When he ran, his fluffy white coat bounced and his mane flew in the wind. He didn't go far, but it was enough to fill our hearts with joy. I'll never forget the first time he leapt from his stall and raced around the yard like a child discovering their legs. The other minis barely had time to react before George was nudging noses, wagging his tail and circling them with delight as if shouting, "Look at me, I'm alive." George didn't just recover, he brought joy. Bright, infectious joy. He became the herd's little brother, mischievous, curious, sometimes bothersome, but always too lovable to stay upset with. Every morning, George was the first to wake us with his whinny. He'd nuzzle gently against each of us, soft and warm, as though saying, "Good morning." We get another day together. Soon, our Instagram filled with moments of George, chasing butterflies, resting his head on shoulders, or lying peacefully in the sun. Thousands of people responded, many writing. I cried watching George. Thank you for giving him another chance. George wasn't just living. He was quietly healing others simply by being here. To me, George was never the deformed dwarf horse others had once labeled him. He was the breeze that lifted life's heaviness. Gentle, sweet, and braver than most men I've ever known. I used to think I had rescued George, but the truth is, George rescued me. He reminded me to believe again, in kindness, in the beauty of imperfection, in the gift of second chances. Sometimes, the most valuable part of life isn't what you search for, it's what stays, even when it had every reason to let go. Now, every evening, I sit on the porch and watch him run across the fields, his mane glinting in the sunlight, no trace of fear or shame in his stride. And I ask myself, if I had walked past him that day, where would George be now? I don't want to know. What I do know is this: George, thank you for never giving up on us, even when the world once gave up on you. A creature once dismissed as worthless became the most treasured soul in my life.